Phoenix Suns are in the free agent point of constructing this roster, adding Ricky Rubio, adding Frank Kaminsky. That's the end part of what we've seen, what they've done in the draft. So looking at this current roster, there's a lot of guys that you could consider, but I'm just going to narrow it down to 12 guys. If you had to pick a starting five, who would you go with?
Go with Ricky Rubio, Devin Booker. If Kelly Oubre comes back, it's him at the 3. Dario Saric, DeAndre Ayton. Plain and simple.
You would go with those. I would go with those two, but I would look at matchups as well. If you're playing a team that's a little smaller. But looking at the lineup, looking at that starting five, looking at the overall what could be the 12-man roster, is this a playoff team?
This is more of a playoff team than last year because
I hope so.
It better be. It's been 9 seasons.
Right.
But for a fact that this is a team that obviously is much more mature than it was in the past couple of years. This is a James Jones type of regime in which everybody wants to see results immediately. It's his first year and first full year on the job. Everybody has their eyes on him.
To me, this is on Monty Williams. Because I look at that starting five, look at the roster, I don't see a playoff team. I see them winning 30 max, but this is Monty. The Monty make what they have right now work and make it where you're able to use Booker, Ayton, and Rubio in this core. And Oubre, again, is the X factor. My 30-win prediction is with Oubre. No Oubre, they got money to do something else. I'd have to drop that number until I figure out who they would bring in. I want to talk about Mikal Bridges. What do you feel like his role will be now with the additions?
Now that they have the defensive specialist that he is, he's got the shooting touch from outside, from 3. It's able to stretch the floor with him. Now that they have a guy like Cam Johnson, they also have another player with Aaron Baynes who can hit the 3, 34% from outside.
If he's shooting 3s, they got a problem. I mean, all that other guys they got here, if they leaning on him, you've got Ty Jerome, who and that'll be interesting, and we'll get to those rookies a little later, but when you look at Mikal, I think he's going to do a skyrocket. I think that he wasn't nearly as strong as he's going to be now. I think that he was someone that showed defensive. He guarded the other team's top.
Sure,
he was guarding James Harden. So he got all those experiences, and they're going to really bode well for him coming into this year. He showed a little more dribble, drive, and kick and pull up towards the end of the year. I think he has a chance to be a special player. But with all that being said, style of play, Monty wants to play fast. Do you think they can play fast with this roster?
I feel like they can play fast but not rushed, as if that's what he wants. And that's basically the way that he can keep the tempo going from 3 quarters, and that's his Popovich experience. 3 quarters comes down to the 4th quarter where they can wear a team down and get the ball movement that they want, get those screens set coming around for the pick and pops that they need, which from Ayton and from Baynes, now that they have him, and open up guys like Saric and Johnson wherever he may land, and Booker as well.
Well, you look at Rubio, obviously he's the key to that.
Right.
Pace setter. I don't think Rubio is a ultra fast guy, but he creates pace, and he keeps it going, and he's able to dribble around and weave and do that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. He set up Gobert with a lot of easy ones, and Gobert's not the athlete Ayton is. So I'm curious to see how the quick offense works, and if they get into something right away, and how he can able to either get Booker or Ayton opportunities, and how guys feed off of that. Backup, big for Ayton. Who would be that guy? Who would be the guy out of the 3, obviously out of the 2 that they have right now with Kaminsky and Baynes? Who would be your first option?
Definitely Baynes, because here he is, got 260 pounds, hard to move, rim protector. It's a guy who basically can. He's not an athletic guy.
What do you mean rim protector? Because he's not blocking shots. You mean holding his ground?
No, I mean he holds his ground, and so he can't be moved. And so when 7 out of the 10 centers that he guarded, he kept them under 55%. Okay, the whole league on that stat is 61.
Okay.
So there's something to be said for that. If he has a guy that basically is, he's 33 years old, has the experience, he's been on, playoff teams, he knows how to keep his ground. And in the Western Conference, where all the big men are, and you got going up against Anthony Davis and 4 times in the Pacific Division next year, you got to have a guy that's going to be able to, be able to sustain that type of punishment down in the block.
But Baynes, to me, brings the toughness part. I think he's going to toughen Ayton up.
Right.
In practice. Aiden in practice was going up against Holmes. Holmes is a battler. Holmes is a guy that competes and is intense, but he's not Baynes' size.
Baynes is 260 pounds, 6'10". Rashawn Holmes is 6'10", 235.
Right, exactly. So he would toughen him up.
And Rashawn was 25 years old now.
Well,
so you got the age difference there in terms of maturity.
Yeah, I just think that Baynes can be a locker room influence as well. The issue is, you signing Kaminsky. I just don't get that. If Saric, unless you're saying Saric isn't going to be a guy you're counting on to help you on the glass.
Right.
To me, that's 4 bigs. Most teams don't have. They usually have 3. So I'm just curious to see if they're going to keep that core. That's going to be interesting.
Well, I saw the Kaminsky thing coming because of the fact that he's able to hit from 18 feet, 15 feet, right? He averaged 8 points a game last year. He missed half of the season and only played 47 games. But still, he's still able to get around guys and be able to hit the shot from outside.
Not a very good defender though.
Not a good defender. He's just kind of slow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need a guy when Aiden gets those games that he's hurt. You're going to need a guy who's going to be the next in line to take that spot.
That's a huge drop off.
It is, but at the same time, it's like when you back off Baynes and you have the high-low, of course, when Baynes can stop and pop, you still have your guy down low who can get the rebounds that Kaminsky can do.
This is going to just be very interesting how they piece all this together. I still think another move is in them, because the Oubre thing, again, as we're talking right now, he could be at the table negotiating something with Phoenix, or he could be sitting there knowing that if Kawhi goes one or the other, that the other one's going to offer him money. Right. So this is a very fluid thing, and I don't want to spend too much time on Oubre because if you're going to ask will or won't, or if he is or isn't there, but I do think he is an X factor. If he's not there, then you're thinking, what are they going to be able to get? Because guys, the free agent pool is not a pool anymore. It's a puddle right now.
It's a puddle. And you don't want to overpay him because you end up having the Tyler Johnson issue if he doesn't get if you give him too much money.
Fans want him though.
Fans want him, of course, because he's a defensive spark, of course. Right? He's a defensive spark that they need, and the swing man will get you 25. Right. Like you wrote.
Right.
And so he's the guy that will get the fans and seats. Get a little bit more.
Valley Boys.
Right, the Valley Boys.
Valley Boys
identity.
Will continue.
Right.
Whether you say Valley Boys will continue, but that is when you're looking at that roster, you cannot dismiss that because of the importance that he would be. And then lastly, just wanted to get into the rookies. You've got Cameron Johnson, Ty Jerome, and then you got to throw Jalen in there. You got to throw him in there.
It's a 4-year project.
Right.
So
So which one will have the biggest impact? If I'm looking at it, I'm thinking Jerome, because I just think that he can play multiple positions. I know Cameron can shoot the lights out, but that's going to be different when dudes know you can do that.
Right.
Going to check you a little tighter, but I would go with Jerome. Most people probably would go with Cam. I'm going to go with Jerome. What do you think?
Well, I like Jerome too for the fact that he's got the assist-to-turnover ratio, 3.3, right?
Yeah.
And so he's shooting close to 46%. Cam Johnson was doing the same thing, on 536 attempts, right? 46%. But at the same time, as people are concerned about his injuries from the year before.
Right.
But averaging 17 points a game in the ACC,
leading
shooting better on the
North
road.
Carolina. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Cam actually will end up, it could be a model for the Splash Brothers for the Suns, maybe. For him and Booker. It's a big maybe. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here.
No, I understand.
But that's what has worked in the past 5 years.
The guy can flat out shoot. I just have concerns about whether he can do that when he's going to be asked on the other end to guard people that get to your legs, make you work. On the other end, try to shooting at 45. That number is misleading when it comes to the league.
But when you got a guy like Ricky Rubio who can open you up for pick and roll with a top guy with guys from like Aiton, the pick and roll, and then you can slip that pick and you can kick it out maybe on an elevator set or some order pick and screens type of play, that actually could work with a guy like Johnson and Booker as the other option on the other part of the perimeter.
And plus Booker opens it up for everybody.
Right.
He opens up for everybody. But again, Rubio, talking about 3-point shooting, he's the worst of the bunch that we've been talking about.
But that's not what he's here for. He's here basically to distribute the ball.
The defense
pass
forces
first
you
type of
though.
offense.
That's what the NBA does. They force people to do things
Sure.
they don't want to do. And so if I'm defending Phoenix Suns, I'm trapping Devin and saying, throw it to Rubio. And then we'll see if he can hit a
Throw
shot.
it to Rubio, and they have an offense where they create the extra pass if they can get around that.
And that's what you're hoping for. But that all sounds great in theory. But when the game is on, you see it all the time. They'll go through, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Then when the game comes and they kick, and that dude is like, I'm open. I'm an NBA player. I'm making $51 million. I'm shooting the ball.
The difference between last year and this year is that you got players that are in their natural positions for the Suns compared to last year where people had to adjust and play out of position, and that's why they weren't as efficient as they were.
So how many wins do you haven't yet? Max.
Max.
With Oubre, max.
It'll be a success if they get to over 33 wins next year. That'll be a successful year.
But do you think that's what they're going to get?
I would say yeah.
Oh, wow.
Get
okay.
I'm
okay.
Going hopeful.
Hey, this is G. Scott, not Dennis Scott. 33 wins. I said 30, so that's not much off. I said 30 max if Oubre is there. But I tell you what it can't be. Can't be 19 again with all these moves.
Right.
All these moves and getting Monty Williams as a coach, can't be 19 wins.
Especially
again.
going over the cap.
Right, it can't be. They can't do that. So we're going to wrap this up. He probably went too long, but he's got expanded lungs. My lungs are getting better because I'm running now. So we're going to end this, and looking forward to seeing what this roster ends up being, no doubt.